Okay? So, choices for the future. Okay? Relying on tradition. And there's a lot of old ways that are very important. And one thing that's tradition and the old ways are very important to the people to keep. An event that's become an annual event is the gathering of the Pi. And all the Pi-speaking people is the Havasupai, the Wallapai, the Yavapai, the Pai, the Jigenyo, and some of the other Southern California tribes are part of this language family. They gather once a year and they share recipes, stories, plants, lore, dances, ceremonies, and language. The Havasupais are the language repository for all the Pi people. And in this, they're keeping a human heritage treasure because their language is one of the oldest languages in North America. It comes from a language family that's been developing in North America for maybe as long as 20,000 years. And it's one of the few indigenous languages that's still used as a first language. Another thing that is going to become very important, and people like Daniel are very much in favor of this and pushing the younger people, is to return to life back in the rim. Establishing heritage crops, old seed varieties, original plants, trading with the Hopis, contacting native seed search to regain some of these original plants. Just a small thing. Lee Marshall once told me, he said, I was born in a brush hut in a snowstorm, and my bed was the bark of a sweet-smelling tree. And that sweet-smelling tree was cliff rose. He used the bark of cliff rose for his bedding and his diapers. The first disposable diapers, and they're truly biodegradable. Okay. And so finally, we have to look at how do we keep a sustainable future, keep a sustainable world. And one way, when we move back to the top, you have to look at ways of getting water. And of course the ways of getting water that are being told by all the outside engineers is drill a well, drill down there 2,500 feet and hit some of that water down there. The Havasupais are geniuses at using water, or they wouldn't be living in the area where they do. And for years, for centuries, they've gathered rainwater. They've gathered it in catchment tanks, they've stored it in cisterns. On my own roof, if I get an hour of rain, I can gather 200 gallons of water in an hour. It's not any big trick here, even in the desert, to store 30,000 gallons of water in a year. That would be enough. You don't need to drill wells. And now we have new technology for energy. We don't have to use wood. We can use solar panels. We can use wind power. We can use compatible construction. Some of you, if you haven't seen it, I urge you to go up to Cameron and see what the Navajo people are doing with the wood from thinning. When the Forest Service goes out and thins in the woods, instead of burning these big slash piles, the Navajos say, give us everything that's 6 to 8 inches. And they're making hogans out of it. And they've made their first one for their Head Start preschool, but now they're making them to sell. Go over to the campus here, go over and look at the forestry building. There's one right here on campus. Things like that could work. And then finally, just conservation, limitation of use. Something that the Havasupais are looking at right now is limiting the use of the campground just to give it a rest. Not closing it, but just limiting the numbers a bit more than they are now. So that's just my picture of some of the things that they're doing to make a livable community there. And I hope you'll have some questions to ask of all of us, not just me. So I thank you. Do any of you, would anyone like to add anything?
Havasupai was over there at 12. Because you work for your wife down over there.